Strength Warehouse presents Go Heavy or Go Home podcast. I am your host, Nate Boley. In this podcast, we talk about strength, fitness, nutrition, and all things Strength Warehouse related. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I'm sitting here with Tiera, our coach and nutrition coach, and we're going to go over some pretty awesome nutrition stuff. So I'm going to just give it over to her and she can introduce herself.
Hey guys, I'm Tiera. I am a NASM certified CPT and a nutrition specialist, and I've been doing this for about 7 years now. So I'm really excited to be doing this. And
all right, that's awesome. What are your roles, or what do you do here at Strength Warehouse?
So I teach classes on Tuesday evenings. I also am taking on some private clients. But mostly I am the nutrition coach here. So I take on most of our nutrition clients, or if anybody's got questions or looking to kind of take their goals to the next level, that's my job.
Yep, that's awesome. Good for you. What is your background in fitness and nutrition?
Oh goodness, that goes back a long ways actually. I started coaching when I was 16. My first job was training gymnasts. So I taught competitive level gymnastics.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That was like my first intro to actually being a coach and getting to see progress from our girls, which is really, really cool. And that was during high school, so I did sports all in that time. So I was like the athlete side of it, the coaching side of it, a little bit of everything. And then I got certified when I was 19, started taking on clients from there. And
yeah. What you were doing at that time, you were still doing like gymnastics coaching?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I did that for about 2 years, and then I taught volleyball for a couple years, and then I started playing water polo in college.
Competitive water polo.
Water polo. That was a whole different ballgame.
It's been like literally a running joke for me. It was like, I should just give up and play water polo.
Oh my gosh. It's so good. It's such a good workout, but it is
I know it is.
intense.
I know it is. Yeah, it is
it's
for
hard.
sure. When did you get into like strength training and bodybuilding and stuff?
It was probably after that point. So after college water polo, high school water polo, I was injured and I had my shoulder repaired, so I was out for a little bit.
You had a shoulder injury from water polo?
Yeah, from water polo and volleyball. So as a goalie, so every time I blocked, it was like...
Yeah, I can see that.
Do gnarly things.
Was it a rotator cuff?
Yeah. Yeah, and I had it repaired in high school, and I still played water polo like my senior year. So it was between my junior and senior year. I was a goalie, so I would just do a bunch of leg work in the pool with like my arm over the water. That way it didn't touch the scars and stuff. It was kind of cool.
You had it flexed like a bicep?
Yeah, basically. But after I stopped doing water polo, I needed something. Like the gym's always kind of been my outlet, so I think I really started strength training more intensely when we moved up to Oregon.
Yeah.
Which was 2016.
From where?
From Southern California.
I knew you were a California girl.
I'm sorry. No, we don't say that. I was military. We were raised military, so we moved all around. Okay. So I don't.
Fair enough.
I don't claim California.
Okay.
But yeah, I started training, like actually looking to train in about 2016. Competed in bodybuilding show in 2018.
Cool. Which one was that? The Cascadian?
No, I did Battle for the Eagle.
Oh, cool. Over in Eugene?
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
Cool.
I prepped for a Cascadian. I didn't end up doing that show, but I did Battle for the Eagle in October of 2018.
Cool.
And then took a couple of years off, had some babies.
Yeah. Are you planning on getting back on the stage?
Yeah.
You are?
Hopefully later this year.
Nice.
That would be the goal. We're looking at Battle for the Eagle actually in September, October this year.
Nice. Same one, so like just like going back on that same stage.
Yeah,
awesome.
Basically. It's the like perfect timing from where we're at right now.
Sure.
Kind of going through like a growth cycle, and then enough time to cut without getting too like crazy. Like it's a nice long, slow prep cycle.
Yeah, that's the hard part about cutting for bodybuilding. You have to have it like nice and long and slow, but that's the hard part, right? It's like mentally, you have to be really mentally tough and disciplined with yourself.
Very much so, especially for like a good 6 month long prep.
I think that's probably why I never did bodybuilding. One of the main reasons, two of the main reasons, was like never wanted to get on stage in a Speedo ever. Like that's just not me. And then the dieting part is just so mentally tough for me. I just don't do it. I can eat really well, but like cutting down calories where you just like feel like garbage.
It's very, very hard. That's why I put it off now. Since 2018 to now, I haven't done it. So I'm like, I think we're there. I think I can commit to this.
Nice.
And, like, put some time in.
Right on. All right. So should someone follow a specific diet like paleo or Mediterranean or whatever other things that are out there?
there's a lot of different diet plans out there, right? That's some of them. You hear of keto, you hear of low carb, high carb, all the other things. And they've all got their place, but I really think it depends on the client's goals.
Sure.
So I'm big on not cutting out whole food groups. I'll tend to, I'll work with my clients pretty one-on-one to kind of find a plan that fits them. Like I've got a client that mostly does fish, so she's pescatarian, and that's her protein source. And I've got some that are vegan and vegetarian, and we mostly do that. So not necessarily one that's like better than the other. I tend to try to stick to whole foods for most of my clients because I just think you feel better. You're optimizing your results doing that.
Sure.
But not to demonize other food either. There's a nice balance. But no, not necessarily.
I think the main takeaway from what I just got from what you said is whatever you feel comfortable with that you're going to stick with
100%
is going to be successful, or is more likely to be successful for sure.
Exactly.
Instead of being like, I've got to do this diet because so-and-so said that it's going to work for me.
Yeah.
It's like kind of eat whatever you're naturally drawn to and then optimize it from there.
Yeah, basically. If you're cutting out whole food groups, you might get results in the short term.
Yeah.
But going back to real life and eating out or going on date nights or anything like that,
it's a struggle.
And then you're not going to end up sticking to your diet plan because you just cut out an entire food group and now you're rebounding, and that's a whole cycle.
And then you're going to feel like you're a failure, and then you're just going to give it up.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I see that all the time.
Yep.
Fasting. What is it? How do people use it? What are your thoughts on it?
I think fasting is a great tool. It really depends on the person. Same thing as a diet plan. For some people, especially if, just say bodybuilding, for example, you're cutting calories a little bit lower. Fasting can be a great tool to kind of stack your food in a shortened amount of time so you feel more satiated during that amount of time.
Sure.
Some clients just don't feel super, super hungry in the morning either, so they like to wait until 12, or noon or whatever time to eat all their food and kind of naturally fast.
Yeah.
But basically that's what it is. You're limiting your consumption of food times to a certain frame.
Yeah.
Right? So you eat from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. or some people will do 6-hour fast, so 2 to 8 or vice versa. Most people tend to fast in the morning and then eat at night.
Because it's easier to fast when you're sleeping because you're not awake.
Exactly. So you fast all night, right?
Yeah.
You don't sleep, or you sleep for 8 hours, you don't eat for 8 hours, then when you wake up, you have a little bit more time to not be eating.
For sure.
Yeah. It can help with, some people find it helps with digestion because you've got a little bit longer in between your meals, or that first little section. For others, it might not work as well because then you're cramming whatever calorie amount into a lesser amount of time. So again, it really depends on the person.
Yeah, I think it also, so the idea of intermittent fasting, I think, is good for two reasons. One, it keeps your insulin level low for longer, which allows you to burn up fat and all that type of stuff in 100%. The blood. And the other thing is it literally shortens the amount of time that you can eat, and so you're not snacking throughout the day because you're I just have to get this amount of calories in, so you're less likely to overeat.
Yes,
that's the idea.
Yeah, basically, if you set more of a restricted time like that, exactly, you're your cutoff is this time. You're going to eat during this, and then you can't.
Yeah.
So it does help with some mental boundaries. Some people do really, really good with boundaries like that, setting that time frame, knowing that you're done, and going from there. So.
For sure. That's a little bit different. That's the intermittent fasting. There's another aspect of fasting 24-hour or 36-hour. Have you ever done anything like that?
I have not.
No, I haven't either.
That's a whole extreme level that I have not taken myself to yet.
They claim there's really awesome health benefits to it.
Yeah.
But, I have not tried it myself, so.
I've heard really good things too, that people have done it for 24, even 36 hours, 72 hours. A lot of people who are religious will go for a certain, a longer extended period of time like that. But no, personally.
Not for you.
Not for me.
When you're trying to bodybuild or get stronger,
it's
not the greatest thing because you're always needing more calories and stuff.
Yeah, so. I like to use the food around my workouts for fuel to feel better, hormone recovery. So for me, going longer duration like that, long durations not eating, it's going to be a little difficult.
For sure. All right, so bodybuilding stage prep, what does that look like?
Oh, that's a whole beast of its own.
Yeah, you could have a whole podcast just on that.
Whole podcast, absolutely. There's a lot that goes into that. Typically, you want to be off cycle for, or like in a bulking phase or a maintenance phase for a pretty good duration before you start cutting for a bodybuilding show.
Yeah.
Right? If you've never counted calories before, never counted macros, and you just decide you want to go on stage, you're starting your calories, you're starting where you're cutting your calories from probably not a very high standpoint, right?
Sure.
And you can only pull from so much or add so much cardio in before your body just gives out, basically.
Yeah.
It's not going to continue to do what you want it to do.
Sure. It's going to look all flat and deflated.
Yeah,
and you're not
exactly.
going to have like the, any energy to put
None.
intensity in the gym.
None at all. So typically what you would do is you would either, you work with a coach or typically work with a coach.
Yeah.
But you have, I don't know, say a couple months of just straight building or maintenance phase where like hormones are optimized, strength is going great, like you can hit new PRs in the gym, you're feeling good, you're recovering well. And then from that point, you're starting to taper down calories little by little, increasing activity or cardio until, your stage day, which is like 20 weeks out from starting prep. So it's a long,
It's a long, drawn out process.
long duration. Yes.
Yeah. What is it like the last 30 days look like?
Last 30 days, typically, like if you're doing well for that previous couple months, it's pretty low calorie. You're typically increasing your water a little bit, so you have a good amount, like at least a gallon, maybe even more, gallon and a half water. But foods are pretty simple. It's like chicken and rice with like maybe some salt and like tilapia and asparagus, like all the basic food groups.
Super easy stuff to digest.
Super easy, really low carb typically, because at that point, you're just cutting off that little bit of fat that's remaining.
Extra fat and water that you're holding on to.
Exactly. And for some people, you're doing pretty long stretches of cardio, like an hour a day.
That's tough.
Yeah. But gets the job done.
Yeah, for
definitely
sure.
gets the job done. That's true.
Yeah.
That last week of prep is like peak week, right? So that's when you're really manipulating foods. If you stick to that, I don't know, last 30 days, you're cutting all your calories out. That peak week is where you can start to increase carbs and kind of load the muscle up
and get full again.
Yeah, adjust sodium intake, and then that's when you see your bodybuilders on stage look like big and swole.
Oh, puffy.
All puffy, basically.
Muscles puffy and then veins everywhere.
Yep.
So like 24 hours from stage, what does that look like?
At that point, I mean, there's different ways to do it. So you can, that last peak week, right? Depending on the coach, depending on what you look like or how far you need to cut, you kind of can backload carbs or front load carbs. So you can have a bunch of carbs at the beginning of the week and then taper them back down and increase your water, or vice versa. So the last 24 hours typically before your show, you're pretty low carb.
Pretty depleted.
Depleted. You might have like a free meal, sometimes at that point, if you're depleted, you're flat, you're lean enough to get on stage, you'll go get a refeed, and have a burger and fries and all that carbs
and then
goes
your
straight to the muscle.
stomach just feels like crap.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
I think my stage day back in 2018, so I was increasing my water at the beginning of the week and slowly tapering it down, and then the day of my show, I was allowed 1 ounce of water every time I went to the restroom. But if you're not drinking water, you're not going to the restroom.
You're not going to the bathroom.
So no water that day.
No water.
That was brutal. You just had like 2 gallons of water for the 2 days prior and then none.
Yeah.
And it was like, ugh, like you feel like you're like gasping for air.
Sure.
So yeah, last 24 hours are pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
But again.
Yeah, and then that works.
That's why, like, I think for powerlifting prep, or I've heard like wrestlers, Derek was talking about this the other day, but you could cut a lot of weight in like a week period of time.
I did my last competition in May. I did 16 and a half pounds in 3 days.
No, see, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I did, how I do it, you do a water load with salt. So 7 days out, you drink 2 gallons of water with like a bunch of salt.
Sounds about right.
The next day, you drink 2 gallons of water with no salt or no sodium at all. And then you cut it back to, I can't remember if it's, you do a third day. You might do a third day of 2 gallons of water, which, I mean, by then your eyeballs are floating and you're going to the bathroom. Like, I think one day I stopped counting it like 50 times of going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is absolutely insane. My boss at the time, I was working at Subaru, was like, his office was right by the bathroom. He's like, what is wrong with you? Like,
Stop.
I've seen you like hightailing into the bathroom as fast as possible, like every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, I'm, doing water load.
Yeah.
And then you drastically cut it off to 1 gallon, and you're still like going to the bathroom like crazy. And then I want to say you either do a half gallon or no, you just drop it completely off. And then you should literally just keep going to the bathroom for like the next 24 hours, and you can just watch the weight just like drop off of you.
Yeah.
This last one, I had a little bit of a hard time with that. It wasn't coming all the way off. I still had like 3 extra pounds. And so I had to go and do like 3 30-minute cycles in the sauna. And I was just like, my vision was going like in, my legs were like not working very well. I felt terrible.
Yeah.
But then I weighed in, and then I went and got an IV right afterwards at a place called Rise IV or Rise Wellness over here. And they give you like an IV with, nutrients and all sorts of stuff. And it actually worked pretty well. But yeah, we don't manipulate food hardly at all on a prep, because we want to make sure that calories are up, muscles are staying feeded, and all that stuff. But the water manipulation is really key for you on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, 16 pounds is a little much. I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, that's insane.
That sucked.
I think that's what my peak week looked similar to that. It was like 2 gallons. I didn't manipulate sodium though until the last 2 days.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about that. I kept it as consistent as possible. But it was like 2 gallons, 1.75, 1.
Yeah.
And then like the last 2 days were like half a gallon, none. And that was rough. But I think I definitely hit my low by this time I stepped on stage 2, which bodybuilding you don't have to worry about weighing in, which is nice, but it still makes a big difference for like how you look on stage.
Don't they weigh you in at all?
Not for like my class, not for bikini. Bikini is high class, or figure. Women's classes like that, figure and wellness are high classes, so no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I ended up dropping like a good 5 pounds like that last couple days too. Just 16 is intense.
Yeah, I mean, so in the last day, I didn't eat any food either. From like, I had like breakfast and that was it, like nothing left, so. It was rough.
How'd you feel?
I did not feel very good. No. I weighed in and I was like, I had my gallon of water with like Pedialyte in it or whatever. I started chugging right away. Had some food, white rice and stuff that's easily, absorbable. And then drove literally straight to the IV place and got an IV as soon as possible. I don't think I was like nearing like the point where I'd need to have an IV like medically given to me, but it's probably it's probably pretty close.
Felt good to get it.
It definitely felt. Yeah, as soon as I got it in there, I was just like, oh god, here we go. Felt good. All right, how many calories should someone eat? I know this is very depends, right?
It does. Everything exactly. I tell that to all my clients. It depends.
But you probably see when you first start working with clients that are trying to lose weight, and they come see you because they're frustrated, right? And what's the first thing that you usually do? Give them more calories?
Give them more calories, typically. What I typically see is really specifically with women, because women have been fed this story that we need to like not eat in order to lose weight, which is not accurate whatsoever. But sometimes it happens with men too. But yeah, people come in and they're eating like 600 calories.
Yeah.
They're like, I can't. Exactly. They're like, terrible. I can't lose weight. I don't know what's happening. I have no food. I'm barely eating anything, and I can't lose any weight. Yeah. It's like, that's because your body's mad. Your body is mad at you.
Yeah.
So typically, when I see that, that's the first thing we start doing is increasing calories, which a lot of people can be really hesitant for, and that's kind of something that, I have to give a disclaimer to them, like say, look, like this is going to be exactly the opposite of what you've been fed. But we are going to feed you. We're going to give you water. You're going to drink. You're going to feel okay. You're going to feel hydrated, and you're going to eat. And that's the hardest thing for a lot of people is to get used to eating that. And ironically, once they do start eating and they're up to like that 1600 calorie mark, and we like keep increasing food, they're like, whoa, I'm like finally starting to feel hungry. Whoa, I can eat. Oh, the scale's starting to drop. I'm like, that's because your body's not mad anymore. Like it's functioning the way it should.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't understand where that people get that, but I hear it all the time.
I don't know, honestly. I saw something the other day though, and it was this dude on like TikTok, and he was still talking about those old habits like that. Like women shouldn't do this. Don't eat too much fat. Steak is bad for you. Like that's like people still do the really old school like fat, it makes you fat.
Yeah, it does.
Carbs are the devil.
Yeah.
Like it's not. Food is fuel. You utilize it. There's a reason why we feel much better typically when you have food in your body because 100%. It's running and it's functioning. And,
I don't know. It's crazy out there.
Yeah.
All right. You just want to tip in a little bit on like what our nutrition services look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of feeding back off that last question is typically we end up having clients that come in and they're super, super frustrated. They're like, I've been doing this for X amount of time, or I've tried this diet, I've tried this, and I'm not seeing any results.
Yeah.
And that's one of the number one reasons why we have people come in or start to look at getting a coach, is because they've tried these diets before and they're not seeing success, or maybe I've got some clients who they just really want to take their training to the next level, which is always really exciting. But I like to set up my plan or my clients with a sample meal plan. So typically I'll sit down with them, we'll go over what their day-to-day looks like, get like all their information, which is really important. Mm-hmm. Like how many meals they're eating, how many meals they want to eat, what their calorie intakes looks like now, what they want it to be, what their like ideas around nutrition are. That's where we get that info if they're like, I don't want to eat carbs, because like, no, it's okay. We're gonna fix that. We're gonna get there. Yeah, exactly. But we start with a whole questionnaire to kind of get a lowdown on what they're doing, what hesitations they have, any of those questions, and then from there, I'll do a sample meal plan, which I think works really, really well for my clients, because a lot of the times I can tell you different numbers to reach. But for some people to see like exactly what would work out for them, and then they learn how to substitute things in, that works well. Like it computes pretty well. And then from there, they kind of have the freedom to be able to like make their own choices, because now they understand like what kind of foods are protein, what kind of foods are the fats that they need, what kind of fats do we want, like. And
that's like the baseline program, right? We're just like teaching them about nutrition.
Exactly.
Giving them the actual real stuff that we should be looking at and understanding and eating.
100%, yeah. So it's a really big breakdown. That first step of our nutrition program, which is typically like 3 steps, right?
Yeah.
That first step is really like that whole lowdown of
it's the foundation.
All the information. Yeah. It's the exactly that. Laying the foundation for the success later on.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's definitely can be a frustrating thing for clients, because they're like, now I need to go back to the basics.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what makes things successful, is being really good at the basics.
Mm-hmm. Getting you onto like an idea of how to substitute foods yourself, and like knowing what foods are the foods you want to be eating. What's a fat?
Yeah.
What's a carb?
What's a fat? I find that a lot when I'm doing NSIs with people, and I'm like, take me through your a day of eating. And they're talking to me, and I'm like, do you know what macronutrients are? And they're like, nope, I just know it's food.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
Like, you should definitely know what you're putting in your body and like why we need it.
Yep.
But hey, not everybody enjoys it as much as I do.
It's like I love it. I love it so much, and I can sit there and write meal plans all day, every day. But exactly that. Like I've had people that are like, I ate avocado with my toast in the morning, and I was like, okay, like what kind of protein do you have? They're like, avocado. Avocado's not avocado's a fat source, like a good fat source, but exactly that. Like some people just don't know. They've never been taught. They've never asked. They've never asked.
Yeah. So that can just like kind of like segue right into, why do diets fail?
Because of that, exactly. A lack of understanding. Nobody's been taught.
Yeah.
Or they see all these fads that again talk about cutting out all these things, restricting. Shiny
syndrome.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, this is it. I want this now.
Yeah.
People also have a really bad tendency to like want things and want them now.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Right. So
short-term success or short-term gratification.
Yeah, 100%. So they see diets that are like, 20 pounds in 3 weeks, sure, I'm going to cut out every single thing that I'm eating. Okay, well, tell me how you feel after those 3 weeks when you start to increase your food again.
Yeah, exactly. What happens after you've started to increase your food again? You gain it all back.
100%.
And probably more.
Yep.
Yeah, because you depleted yourself for 3 weeks and your body hates you.
Yep. And now you've possibly got some like really bad habits.
Yeah.
You're like, I need to stuff my face with all these things that I was deprived of before.
Yeah.
You see that a lot with bodybuilder diets. You see that a lot with these fad diets, is that people will start something, think it's going to be successful, and then rebound.
Yeah,
really
frustrated,
bad.
And they're just like eating the emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then it kind of cycles back into this really bad idea of like, I tried this diet, it's not working, it's not for me. I tried dieting before.
It's not going to work for me, so I'm just going to have to live with this unhappiness because I'm not happy with where I'm at forever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's a bad mentality to be in.
It's a bad mentality, and it's really hard to get out of it when you feel like you've tried it and it doesn't work. But that's where having a coach and having a team behind you can be so helpful to actually teach you the habits, to teach you how to change the habits, how to make better decisions. And that's basically what I do.
Awesome. That's good. What are some like pitfalls that you typically see in clients, like as you're coaching them? Is there like specific time frames when you're like at a certain time frame we see clients doing this that can like, or whatever?
Yeah.
Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, I do. So what I end up typically telling my clients is like the first month, the first 4 weeks, you might not see, your number on the scale go down. You might, especially for increasing food.
And for strength training.
And for strength training, you're starting strength training, your body's not used to it. You're going to be sore, you're going to be tired. Like
building muscle right away.
You're going to have all this extra mass. Exactly. So that first 4 weeks can kind of be a little bit, I don't want to say rough for some people mentally, but kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I try to tell them, like, look, like this time, you might not see the number go down. We're going to be increasing food. You're going to be doing all this extra stuff, increasing activity. Your number might stay the same. It might even increase. Yeah. But you need to not stress.
Well, the idea is
the process.
We're just building habits right now. We're not trying to continue to cut you down right now.
Yeah.
We're just building the habits so we can be successful later on.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can't cut from your 600 calories and your 7 hours
the next
of cardio
one is zero.
a day. Exactly.
0 calories and you're not going to be able to get out of bed.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to function.
Yeah.
So that first 4 weeks, some people are like, no, this isn't working. My number's going up, and they get really, really scared.
Yeah.
And if you have those people who really, really want it and are willing to stick through the process, you get past that 4 weeks, and they're like, oh my gosh, my number's going down. Hey, I feel better.
Yeah.
Hey, my sleep is better.
Yeah.
I just hit this new PR.
Yeah.
All these things. I had one client that just said that. She's like, my number on the scale's the same, but I'm starting to see new lines in my core and all the stuff. And I was like, that's a win.
That's 100%.
That is a huge win right there, and it's been about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yep.
So there's this saying too, people say like it takes, 4 weeks for you to start feeling the difference, 8 weeks for you to see the difference, or for other people to see the difference, and then 12 weeks for you. Or something like that, right?
For you to see the difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it takes time. It's this gradual build of progress.
Yeah.
And once you get past that first month, if you can stick to it and build that habit, right? 21 days to build a habit.
Yeah.
Then that's when you really start to see.
I try to when somebody comes in and asking what their goals are and then the no sweat. A lot of times I hear I want to lose weight, and then I'm like, okay, let's dig into this, because do you want the number on the scale to go down, or do you want to feel better and look different? And almost every time I hardly hear, well, with the exception of a few, that they really needed their body weight to be down for medical reasons or whatever. Most of them are just like, I just want the fat to go away. It's like, okay, reset the mind frame here. We're not trying to lose weight. We're trying to body recomp.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's where the scale number might never change or might go up, but you're going to look different, you're going to feel different, you're going to perform different.
Yeah.
So I try to reframe that mind process before we even send them over to you to see them.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps.
No, it totally
does.
And
then doing the in-body scanner also will help a lot, because it's not only just one metric of weight. It does, fat percentages and all, and muscle mass and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So they can see those changes.
That's probably my favorite thing that it does is the muscle mass.
Yeah,
because
sure.
people come in and they're like, oh, I don't know, I can do this, and I'm like, no. Did you see that number? Do you see how much mass you have on you? That's great. That's a great number.
100%.
So I love the numbers and everything too. I think it's helpful.
That's awesome. What is one thing that you really pride yourself on, how you can help your clients become successful?
Personally, so my background actually, besides training and everything, is in psychology. I'm working on my bachelor's at Oregon State, so I've got a real nerdy when it comes to that kind of stuff, which is fun. But I think that is really helpful. It's kind of what can, set us apart from, say, somebody else. It's knowing how to actually adjust behaviors or address them and teach people the skills that they're going to need to be successful afterwards. Not everybody wants to stick to a meal plan for the rest of their life, but if you teach them from the basics, ground up, how to succeed, how to change habits, how to, work on themselves too, I think that really, really makes a big difference for our clients. They can walk away and say, hey, I learned all of these skills. Now I can go into real life and enjoy my anniversary with my husband and not be stressed about what I'm eating and all these things. So,
and I would say that's like the essence of coaching, is being able to identify behavior patterns and help your clients see that and then change them if they need it.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you can't get past that barrier, you're probably not going to be a very successful coach, I think.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of coaches that are just like, well, just do it. I'm like, well, there's life. Like, life happens. You got to teach them how to do it. You can't just say, go do it.
Because most of the time we only get to see these clients for like an hour a day, and they have another, 23 hours a day. And sometimes we're only seeing them 1 hour a week. So now they have an entire 167 hours or whatever it is in a week. I don't know how many hours there is. I don't
something
even
like
know.
that,
something, that they have to be out there on their own.
Yeah.
And we can't help them. Well, we can, but like by texting them and stuff. But for the majority of it, we're trying to like teach them enough so they can go out and do the worldly things that they're going to do.
Yeah. One of my clients now, we've been talking about, drinking, and Bend is huge for going out and having a beer. There's breweries everywhere, and it's socially acceptable, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But how do you make other choices that are going to be more in line with your goals while still like being able to enjoy everyday life and like not feeling like you have to go sit at a brewery and just twiddle your thumbs because you can't have one. Like how can we adjust those habits and that mindset so you don't feel like you're missing out on things when you go out, and if you do have one, like you're okay with that decision. You made that decision consciously. You have one. We move on from there. Or exactly, you're not weighed down by that decision. It's not overwhelming you. It's not like you're not guilty on your conscience.
Well, I had one, so I failed, so might as well have a six-pack.
No, exactly. That's a huge thing. Make a decision, be okay with that decision, and move on from there.
For sure.
That is a huge thing.
Yeah, I say this to my clients all the time. Like, my diet is like 90% good during the week, and the weekends, just right now, because I'm not really like trying to like lose a bunch of fat or whatever, but I'd like to lose a little bit, but I'll mess up over the weekend, and then I'm like, okay, it's Sunday again, meal prep time, get back on it on Monday. And that's just the way you got to do it. Everybody's going to mess up from time to time, and you have to be able to just have that, I'm washing my hands of the mess up, taking the next step forward, I'm going to win the next decision, which is whatever decision that you need to make that's going to make you win.
That literally happened to me like last week. It happens to everyone. That's the thing too, it's not like you're like the only person in the world that it happens to. It happens to everybody. But I did the same thing. Like, I was so hungry last week, and I had to text my coach, and I was like, hey, I ate off plan a little bit, just so you know, getting back on it tomorrow. And like, I held myself accountable. I tried to hit it the next day, and I was really rough on myself, ironically. And I was talking to my husband about it, and he's like, you ate off plan like by having extra food in your bowl, like you're okay. It's like, oh well, I made a better decision than I would have 3 years ago.
For sure.
I didn't go crazy and like binge on food. Like, I chose better food. And
that's a little bit more.
A little bit more. So those kind of habits, those kind of like little tidbits that happen in life, you get better over time. But that really makes a really big difference, is to not beat yourself up over a thing. Take it as a win, take it as a loss, just move on from there and not have that all or none mindset.
All right, that's great. Well, guys, thanks a lot for joining us today, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks for joining us on this epic journey of strength. If you liked this episode, please leave us a review and share with a friend. To stay connected, hit that subscribe button. All right, until next time, go heavy or go home.